our next bit will be to start asking states to take a look at their own data, and I'll turn it over to Katie to do this.
Great, thanks so much. So we're gonna do something. We're kind of calling it a data inventory, and this is not going to be a standardized process. We don't have some beautiful checklist or flow chart that's going to help every state get to what you just saw, those visualizations. Um, we have 22 different states in this working group. We imagine there's 22 different starting points. But as we shared before, we did kind of bucket everyone into one of 4 categories. And so we have some specific questions for each of those categories that we can walk you through. And Marguerite's going to do that in just a second, but you're going to be asked, if you'd like to share kind of your answers to these questions based on your data availability in your state.
Which can then actually start helping us put together tools that will help more states walk through this process. But if you were on the call last time, you see that we had roughly grouped SEAs according to 4 buckets. On the left, there was if the SEA and the state had a common chart of accounts, including a field for location. Number 2, if this SEA had been participating in SLFS survey through NCES, which is a school level finance survey, or had some sort of similar data. And then we had, and I'll actually just go back for the first bucket for the chart of accounts. We had asked, does the state actually collect that general ledger data? Does it have the chart of account and location? There are some states like California, they have a chart of accounts, it has the location code, but the state doesn't collect it. And in fact, a lot of the districts aren't using it. And then embedded in there are they assigning real or average salaries as part of that? If they haven't collected it yet, is it out there? Is it in pilot phase? Where is that? So the second big blue box was this SLFS data, and there could be, if you just wanted to stay with that data to comply with a requirement, there will be a different set of metrics that you can use, a different collection procedure, and so on. And third, there are some states that don't have either of those things, but they do happen to have real salaries and benefits with location codes, and that's a different kind of data that can help create an expenditure picture in states, because salaries and benefits tend to make up 80% of the spending. It's a possible way to start. And you might look if your state has all school personnel or maybe only certificated. In the last box, the SEA hasn't really proceeded on this. So we're not sure we've categorized states correctly here, but we thought we would, as far as doing this, you'll want to check which box you're in, and then if you are in that box, start asking yourselves a set of questions or assign them to someone on your team to sort of look through. If you're in a common chart of accounts state, are the LEAs using it with fidelity? Sometimes we look through these. I just looked through one from the other day, and according to the chart of accounts, this code should never be, an object code should never be used with this particular purpose code, and yet half the districts are putting those together. So you want to know, like, how good is the data right now? Does it record the average or real salaries? If they're average, you'll need to find a way to swap the average for real, the real for average. Sorry about that. What portion of the funds are coded to the SEA? Sorry, that should be the LEA or the school level. So how much are they coded down there to the school? If the coding is only used for 20% of the expenses, then you don't really have much school level data. Do the LEAs use chart of accounts to report the expenditures back up to the SEA? So are they kept in that file? Is it digital data? When does it happen? Does it happen a year after? Does it happen a month after? The requirement right now says that there is a December deadline following the fiscal year, and that might get changed in regulations or might be adjusted in regulations, but you'll want to ask that question. And then, are all the codes kept in the file when it gets reported back to the SEA? So the location codes in there are all the different purpose codes, things that tell you whether or not the money is spent on special education, federal money, and so on. And there'll be a list of these questions for each box. So for box number 2, for states that are using that SLFS data, you want to, here again, find out what portion of total district spending is captured in the SLFS data. and how much money do you still have to chase down to sort of parse it? Does the SEA have a file on all the LEAs that parses it for central functions? So if the district's spending district money on special ed, food, transportation, etc., can you layer that on to the SLFS data and get the full capture of spending? Again, this question about timing. So we're basically going to have this list of questions for each of those 4 boxes, and let you use them to work with your state to sort of dig up the answers, and that'll give you a much better starting point to coming up with a data plan. So if you're a state with real salary data, do the staff have location codes? What positions are included? Are they teachers only, certified staff only, employees? Do they include benefits? There needs to be a percent FTE, kind of a function code like special ed. Can you tell which positions are federally funded? And that's a requirement as well. If some LEAs contract for certain things, we need to figure out how we'll capture that kind of money. Again, what's the timing? Some of these, they don't have them for a year or two after. Are they adjusted mid-year when teachers leave, so you can get a real capture of expenditure data? And then is there a subset out there that are using common chart of accounts? Do you want to try to build on that instead and go that route? And the last one, the no access. These are, I guess, scoping questions for you. Is anyone using the common chart of accounts? Is there an appetite for that? What can you realistically ask for from an LEA? How many LEAs do you have? And that kind of thing. So if you're starting from scratch and you want to do this the easiest way, you can get some limited data. It may not be that good. Do you want to go all in and go with a statewide chart of accounts and get what you need to create a richer picture?